So welcome to Econ 131 for summer session 2. What I want to do in this relatively brief video is I just want to kind of introduce you to all the course materials. So there's not going to be any content or anything like that, but basically this is what you'd watch. This is if we had the physical course, this is what we would do the first day. Instead of actually talking about the material, we would just get everyone up to speed. And so that's kind of my point with this lecture. There's going to be two kind of electronic resources we're going to be using extensively over this 6-week course. First, there is La Lima, which I think probably all of you should be familiar with. If not, it's a pretty similar system to other institutions, and I won't be using it so extensively that you have to be an expert. The primary tabs on here that we'd be using, so again, this is Econ 131, Section 1, for summer of 2016. The primary ones we would be using in this course is syllabus and lectures, and you would probably be concerned about gradebook. I'm going to probably end up, after making this video, going to move these tabs up, but I'm going to keep them all together because these are the 3 tabs we will use extensively. For lectures, what you're going to see here is that this course is divided into 3 parts. Every 2 weeks we're doing one of the one part, and then within each part you will see the chapters that we're going to be dealing with as soon as my computer opens it up. 1, 2, 3, and 4, so that's what we're doing here in part 1. Then within each chapter you're going to be basically seeing 3 primary files. Right now there's only one. The one file that you're seeing right here is the publisher's PowerPoint. So most publishers of textbooks provide instructors with PowerPoints. It's kind of up to the instructor of what do they want to devote their scarce time to. What I've decided to do, which I think benefits you more rather than benefits me, but what benefits you more is if I use the PowerPoint that they've created, which is fine, but then I spend my time explaining each of the slides beyond what is typed on the slides, write on the slides extra comments or thoughts. So I'm going to be making a video for each chapter that basically outline that, where I'm kind of presenting this PowerPoint. So there'll be a second tab that's a link to the YouTube video that I've made for this course. And then there'll be a third file listed here, and that third file will be that what I'll do for each chapter after I've kind of written on things as I've made the video, I will go ahead and scan all those pages that I had written on for the video. I'll scan those as a single PDF and post that here as well. So each chapter will have 3 files attached to it, and throughout this course we'll be doing, well, through these 6 weeks, we'll be doing 10 chapters across 3 parts. The way to keep that all organized would be the syllabus, which I suppose we can talk about next year. So here's our syllabus, which has been emailed to all of you, but if you lose it, it's right there. And here we go. The best way to reach me, and just in case you're curious how to pronounce my name, which I guess probably would have been useful for me to mention earlier, it's the way that you pronounce my last name is Scheiding, like a bell ding. Let's see, this is my 2nd year in Hawaii, and I am on campus most of the summer, but not all the summer, and that's probably the challenge for all of us during the summer, is that we're all in different places. So really the best way to contact me is going to be sending me an email or This is my Google number. That way it's not creepy, right? Because I'm not giving you my real legit phone number, but yet this is a number that obviously I have access to, and you can know that you could if you had to contact me right away, you could always use that number. But emailing me, I mean, I have an iPhone, so right, I get my email sent to my address right away. There's no excuse for me not replying to an email rather quickly if it requires a fast reply. And I really do mean that, because what I say right here is you should, for all intents and purposes, you should get something from me. If it's incredibly pressing, no matter what day of the week it is, you will get a response from me within 24 hours, if it's very pressing. Now, if it's something that I think, you send me something and, it's a Saturday afternoon, I might not get to you till Monday if there's not any deadlines or anything like that. If there's a deadline, of course I'll get back to you before the deadline, within reason, right? You can't email me half an hour before a deadline and expect a response in time. But in general, I'm quite prompt in my responses, and I think that's what you should expect from me. Now, I say all that because what if 2 days, 3 days have gone by and I haven't replied? You absolutely should resend me the email. I'm sorry already for not having replied, but somehow it got lost in my inbox and then escaped my mind. So if you don't get a response back from me, don't just think that I'm ignoring you or being a bad person. Just resend it to me. I'll apologize profusely, but just send it to me again. What are we doing in this course? Well, this course, as I said, has 3 parts. The first, I'm presuming you can read the syllabus here, but essentially, as I describe it, this course does 3 things, 3 parts. The first is sort of the introduction to economics in general. We'll talk about what economics is. We'll talk about the first and major concept, which is the production possibilities frontier. And then we'll talk about supply and demand, and how the government sometimes intervenes in those markets. That's the first part of this course. The second part of this course deals with how economists measure macroeconomic concepts, primarily how much is produced in the economy, what the prices are in the economy, and how many people are working in the economy. So that's the second part of this course, measuring those 3 things: production, unemployment, and prices. And then the last part of this course then talks about, well, if the economy is fluctuating, how does the central bank manage the economy? How does the government try to manage the economy? And that's our 3 parts right there. Now, the way that I will then grade you, which probably is the big thing you're trying to listen to here, is that basically in each chapter will have an assignment linked to it, and each part will have an exam linked to it. So that would mean that in part 1, for instance, where we're dealing with 4 chapters, you will have 4 homework assignments and 1 exam. In part 2, there are 3 chapters. So that means you will have 3 homeworks and 1 exam. And then in part 3, there are 3 chapters, so that means you'll have 3 homework assignments and 1 exam. The last exam is not comprehensive. There's no final exam. There's just 3 regular exams, 10 regular assignments. Those assignments all add up, as you see in the percentages here, to equal to be 1 exam. So even if you're a great exam taker, not doing those homeworks is going to hurt you. Now, there's a book for this course. This is a new book for me, so I'm kind of testing it out this summer. I'm sure there are things I will learn about the book just as we're going through this course, so be patient with me. This is not my first time teaching this course. I've taught this course for well over a decade. The way that this works best then, since this is a summer course, is I've already mentioned La Lima. The other thing that we'll then use is this electronic resource right here. So you would click on this link, or click on the link that I've provided in the emails already, you would click on that link to open this resource. Now what this does, when you click on this and you sign up, is it's going to look something like this, if you've done it right. That's our textbook in the upper corner, and you would, in this case, be doing the new student registration. You don't have to pay right away, so if there's any doubt in your mind that you might not stick with the course, don't pay for it right away. But in this case, you would just say, I want to purchase access. And you would type in your email address and go through this. Now, the fee that you pay, which is about $100, covers everything you need for this course. It gives you the access to the book, it's how we're going to do the assignments, it's how we're going to do the exams. We're going to use it extensively. Now, I debate always about doing this because, I mean, it is $100, but especially for an online class where you need lots of resources, I'm not there all the time, this is kind of the best way to do it because the publisher does make lots of different things available. It's a pretty easy to use site. So let me walk you through it. Once you've registered for this and you've paid, again, I think it's about $100, you'll obviously have a sign in and whatnot. So let me just sign in right now. And again, I'm going to be slow here because I'm on a slow network here. I don't know if it's optimized for phones or whatnot. Again, I primarily am using this on my laptop, so it's a little different. But here we go. You'll have this kind of tab right here that will talk to you about assignments that are coming due, but let's just enter the course. And here we go. Let me try to see if I can see it as if I'm you. I think there's a way I can do it where I look like I'm you. Here it is. Now I use Firefox. I generally hear fewer issues about that. But if you have technical issues, you can always talk to me. Also, the one reason why I did pick this book, not the only reason, but one reason why I picked this book is because the customer service is actually open pretty late for us on the islands. I believe it's open until, I think, 9 p.m. for us on the islands, which is a little bit better than the other services, which are only typically open till maybe about 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. Okay, so here I'm looking at it this way. You're not going to see these. These are the unassigned chapters. I'm not going to clutter up your understanding of things with that right there. But basically, you're going to see everything. As you're doing these things, you're going to see the 3 parts of this course. Now, here's the way that I work it out. And we'll go back to the syllabus to explain this a little bit more. But basically, I don't mind anyone working ahead as much as they want. I really don't mind that. You can work ahead as much as you want. You can, I don't know, maybe you get this course done in 3 days of doing nothing but econ. It would be a horrible 3 days, but maybe you do 1 part each day and you get it done. You could absolutely do that. But I don't anticipate any of you will. But maybe someone's going to prove me wrong. What I anticipate more is that if you're anything like me, you usually wait until right before the deadline and then you do the thing that you're supposed to do. And that's how I designed this course, is that I'll let you slack off, but only so much. And that would be that every 2 weeks, one of the parts is due. Within each part, when I do the drop down here, as soon as it opens, you then see the 4 chapters and the exam. Within each chapter, You then see the book parts, right? So within the book itself, you can see things like this. You could also click on this tab right here if you just wanted to read the book directly without seeing it explained like this. But basically what it does is it then splits up the chapter into all of its parts, and each part of each chapter, so for instance section 1.1, what is economics about, you get the blurb that would be from the book, and then you get some kind of like questions that kind of like help you think through things. And then each chapter ends with graded homework, and it's marked as a to-do, so you'll know that you need to do it. But again, you would also know it because each chapter has a homework. Same for chapter 2, right? Chapter 2 has each of the parts, and within each of the parts you have something you can read and some practice questions that kind of help you think through things. And that goes on and on for each chapter. I still need to add the questions for the exam. I haven't gotten that far yet, but I have made all the assignments. Let's just talk about what the assignments look like. Let me go back to my view so that you can kind of see what the settings are. Now, the way that I set up the assignments is if you spend a lot of time on them, you will get 100%. And it's kind of what I'm kind of hoping that maybe what you'll get is 100% on all of the homeworks. Because the way that this looks, so I'm going to see mine all on one page because I'm a faculty member, but for you, you'll see the questions one at a time. Each chapter has about 20 questions or so. And each of the assignments are worth the same, which is 100 total points. But for each question, actually, let me show it to you this way. This is perhaps the easiest way to do it. These are the settings that I have for each of the assignments. You can do the assignment as many times as you want. I will only take the highest score. You can spend as much time on it as you want. You're being given the questions one at a time. And you'll get some kind of feedback as you're doing the assignment. So if you get a question wrong, it'll try to help you out and get you the right answer, and help you figure out what the right answer is. All of the homework assignments have these exact same settings. So if you spend enough time on a homework and you do it multiple times, you will get the right answer. And if you don't want to spend time on it and you're just trying to get it done, you will not get as great of a score, and you can at least blame yourself, but you'll probably blame me. For the exams, the settings are a bit different. For the exams, again, I said I need to still add the things. You are not going to have three attempts. You will have one attempt. But you will have a time limit as well. That time limit will be 300 minutes. You'll see the 1 questions at a time. And things will be randomized. You will obviously not get feedback because you will only have 1 time to do it. And again, because it is timed, if you have a need for an accommodation for extra time, you'll need to contact the contact Learning Services to get that permission and have the accommodation approved and sent to me. Anyway, I save it while I'm right here. But again, for the exams, the settings are different. You'll have 1 attempt, 300 minutes, and you will not get feedback as you're doing the questions. But my expectation is you're using your notes, you're using the electronic book, the ebook. You'll have access to those things to do the exam. This isn't a closed book, closed notes exam. You can use all of the resources that you are using for the homeworks for the exam. Okay. And so is this site here then the Launchpad site that you'll be using for all the assignments and for all of the exams. Then let's go back to the syllabus. The classroom policy is pretty simple. It's just that you really should not be late on things. There's really only 3 big deadlines where everything is due every 2 weeks. So please, please, please plan ahead. Everyone's got a busy summer schedule. Absolutely, totally realize it. And the only reason why the deadlines are so important is that it's not a power play. I am not trying to establish my authority over you by saying that deadlines are deadlines. I do it because I just don't think it's fair. And I don't like unfairness. Now, what that means, right, is that if you can't get something done on time and you've got a great excuse and there's documentation and everything, then it would be unfair of me not to extend the deadline. So all I want is fairness. If the situation presented to me is one where it would be unfair not to give you more time, hey, tell me about it. The worst you get from me is a response of, nope, that sucks, sorry. Yeah, I'll probably say it a little nicer than that. But ask me. I mean, the worst I say is no. I'm not going to take it against you. I'm not going to think less of you. Ask me. The other policy for this course will be that there will be opportunities for extra credit for the entire class, but there'll be no opportunities for extra credit for individuals. So if you're failing everything and then you say to me you'd like to write a 30-page paper for extra credit, I will say no, because it's not fair to to myself, who's then got to read that paper, but it's also not fair to the rest of the class who isn't given that same opportunity. Integrity. The integrity policy as it applies to this course is materials are open notes, open books, but obviously the work you submit is what you are saying is your own work. So you obviously, if you're working with others, when you're submitting stuff, it is being submitted as your own, and that's how I am understanding it, and that's what you are kind of signifying by turning things in that way. Again, if you need an accommodation, then you should email Dr. Takeda and get me that documentation that I need. Here's our grading scale. We give you an example of how to calculate your grade. And these are then our 3 sets of deadlines. Emblazon these in your minds. These are the 3 deadlines, with everything due at 11 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. So July 18th, August 1st, August 12th. And so then I outline each of these 3 parts and the chapters that are in each part. Okay. You'll get many more emails from me in the coming days, but hopefully this video will give you an idea of what you need to do for this course, and just in terms of how to set everything up. You've got the syllabus here, but the big homework you would be doing is you would be getting your access to this site, and you could even start the homework right away if you wanted to. Okay.